Hello there everyone, welcome back to another LEGO Lover 117 audio commentary. This time around we're taking a look at my third episode of my remastered series, and the one that has been memed the most, Violent Viaduct, Scarloe Reneus' favorite episode of my series, just because of how absurd the name is. If you hear footsteps going around in the background, there's a internet person at my house right now that is here to fix my internet. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this audio commentary, is because I can't stream anything right now because the internet is down. And I have one of my dogs, Rosie, up here in my room with me, and she is currently freaking out because there is a man in the house that she does not recognize. So, apologies if that distracts you from the audio commentary. I'm going to try not to let it distract me. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and start the episode.
It was a beautiful morning on the island of Sodor. James, Henry, and Edward were at Knapford Station.
So we begin with a pretty substandard classic series type of intro. James, Edward, and Henry at Knapford, and James is of course complaining about how he's so important and all this stuff.
Well, we all have to do things we don't like, James.
I forgot I actually referenced Fergus Takes the Express in this opening segment. That's cool. Good job, me. Pat on the back for that.
Oh boy, here we go again. Must you always use that excuse of you being an important engine to
I think that's my attempt at a CGI Henry voice. I tried CGI Edward voice in Fergus Takes the Express, and it came off alright. I think my Henry CGI voice is a little bit better, though.
That you, James, think of yourself higher than any of us. Well, yeah, of course I do. It's the truth. Rubbish. No one's better than anyone else on this railway. Excuse me, Henry. Well, in terms of efficiency, the diesel engine does have a substantial... No one is better than the other. James went redder than ever and snorted off. He thought it.
I think that line was pretty clever about Edward being the person who obviously points out that, hey, obviously the diesel engines are better than the steam engines. Like, somebody has to say it. In terms of efficiency, the diesel engine is better.
They know it. Yeah, says the engine pulling dirty freight cars. You stay out of this. Can't. Gotta narrate the story, my dude. You wanna know how it ends? It's pretty juicy.
I think this is the most involvement the narrator has had in a story thus far. Considering that James is talking to him and he's an actual character in this, I think I pulled that off pretty well.
What happened? Well, James, your water tank is completely empty.
Okay, that Photoshop could be a little bit better. The driver is obviously in another form of light, as he is colored orange, I guess. I really like this banter between the driver and the fireman. I think I got this really well done.
Seriously, you have a problem. Hey, you wanted to look at them just as much as I did. And besides, I got a great deal on that Doctor Strange pop. It was an FYE exclusive. Several hours passed, and James was still...
So there is no Doctor Strange FYE exclusive. I don't know why I put that in the script, but there is no such thing as a Doctor Strange FYE exclusive, I guess. I think at the time of writing this, I had just got the 2016 Comic-Con exclusive version of Doctor Strange, where he's doing the rune. It came out before the movie came out, and it was a special pre-release and all that, so I think that's the reason why I put that in there, but... If you look in the background, too, you can see my Wii library is a shelf up. The bottom shelf has nothing on it. That's not the case nowadays, but this is a time capsule.
Alright, fine. Go and take my lunch break, but I'll be back. Yeah, you do that.
Oh, spooky foreshadowing. Now, of course, I threw in the glow-in-the-dark cars because of Henry and the dark and all that, and that was a really good episode. And I think I just got those from Toys R Us before they had closed before filming this episode.
What's he doing just sitting there? I don't know, but depending how long he's...
So I completely forgot to talk about my inspiration for this story that I wrote. There really wasn't a lot of inspiration for this. This story first came about when I was recording the first 3 episodes of my series back in 2012, when I was just filming them all in one big spat. And I basically came up with the idea because of how I had built this first layout and how the viaduct was right there, the viaduct that James was on, and it's so vital and so important. I thought, hey, what would happen if this collapsed?
Hey, you trucks, knock it off back there.
Obviously, I could have framed that better. I could have had the hand in the background, but I really like how this like rescue operation was set up and how the sound effects and such line up in it and all that. That crash was pretty epic, though, wasn't it?
Now then, back from my lunch break.
Even though James totally changes positions there.
Man, did I miss the big crash scene? God damn it! You knew? Of course.
I think that's the
have
first
script right here in front of me.
time I've ever cursed in my series, although damn isn't really much of a curse word nowadays. I mean, everybody says it, but, you know, that's a little hardcore for a Thomas and Friends series. Woo.
Couldn't help it, man. FYE has their pops in those giant towers. I've always got the urge to look through them. You can't blame me, though. I got some pretty good ones. Armored Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. That's not even available on Amazon yet. Please
I'm
tell me
super
you see
proud
what
of
I see.
myself for saying that line all the way through without stuttering. It didn't sound like I didn't stutter because I didn't stutter. I didn't cut anything out of that. I just said that line completely through. I'm really proud of myself for that.
Not to worry, James. It wasn't your fault.
The return of the fat controller with this weird voice. This was a holdover from the really old series where I made the fat controller just an idiot. And I'm glad I went to a more serious Sir Topham Hatt in later stories, but... Okay, this joke is still funny. I love this joke where he is, like, swearing his head off. If you heard the raw audio of this, I said so many things I probably shouldn't have said, and I made sure to keep them extremely muted when he was going off on there, but yeah. Plus, I just really like those kinds of jokes, like the controllers screaming and all that. Oh, if you noticed, the driver and fireman were helping repair the viaduct in the background. And there's a Samson cameo.
So who saw Spider-Man Homecoming in theaters?
The trademark Lego Lover humor, where the engines are all talking about Marvel movies and such. It's funny now, this is more topical since Spider-Man is reportedly out of the MCU as of this recording.
The others and I have been talking, and we really just don't think you've been the same since your accident. I'm fine, all right?
Now we explore James's PTSD.
James just isn't acting himself, is he? Yes, Gordon. Brilliant point. Why, thank you. Oh.
Little bit of humor there with Thomas and Gordon. I like my subtle humor and such.
All right, look, regardless of Thomas's comedic timing, there is something seriously wrong with James. Yeah, but what? The engines talked about their friend, and they wondered...
Here comes my favorite shot of the story. I think I really pulled this off well. Zooming in into the doorway and then zooming in on James as he's inside of the shed. My favorite shot of the entire story. Love that. And now we get credits. I don't think I put any Easter eggs in the credits here. Edward, Henry as himself, Gordon as himself, Thomas as himself. Yeah, nothing funny in these credits. 2018, man. It seems so long ago. Now we get a post-credit scene where I explain what was going on in this episode, why there was a brief Mike cameo in a later episode.
Just head on home now.
Here's my buddy Lemmy.
Hey, you.
Whoa!
Lemmy is still alive, in case all of you didn't know. He's on TWR Community Radio now. He just doesn't do anything on his own channel, but he is still alive.
Episode of your series.
All right, shoot. Not literally. I don't want to die.
When's part 2 coming out? I saw to be continued at the end of this episode.
Well, part 2 is technically already
Technically,
out.
that's also not
Part two
true.
of
Part
this
2 is not out
duology
yet because I'm
is
going to
going
remaster
be
that
powered. Check that
story
out.
that I
Get the It's been on the
I
channel for about 2 years.
announced in my Comic-Con stream.
Also, why does he switch gauges?
Well, you see, when I made Don't
Yeah,
Be
this was
Coward, I
explaining a bit of a
working on
continuity
the
error I
original
made.
season.
Mike was
So
in
I
the
threw Mike
original
into the
story
reference
back in
to the
2012,
original
and he's a
story.
miniature gauge
Well,
engine.
that's
The miniature
created
gauge
continuity.
exists in
I
my
suppose
universe
that's
now,
the
so it doesn't make
best
sense why he would have been there in Don't Be a Coward and why he made a brief cameo in there as a
No
reference to
problem,
the
buddy.
original
I'll see you
episode.
later.
Basically switched out Mike for Edward.
Oh, you're still here. Yep,
And
so
this is a
no.
bit of a Ferris
Did some
Bueller
credit
slash
scene to clarify some things
first
I know that you
Deadpool
guys
homage
are gonna comment.
where the audience just won't leave.
There's no stinger for anything coming soon.
I'm still here. There's got to be something else, man. There's something else. What is there? Tell me.
They're still here. Oh, for Christ's sake, just go away, please.
And that is Violent Viaduct. One of the memeiest episodes ever. But honestly, I really like this episode. I think I did a good job at making this very compact and very well done, at least in my opinion. It's so much better than the than the original one, which Connor still likes to meme on me to this very day. He loves to make fun of me for that, but I rectified it. I made a better version of Violent Viaduct, Connor. Suck it. I also think this is my shortest story I've ever made. It's a little over 9 minutes, and I think all my other stories top out at around 11 or 15, so shortest one ever made. Good job, me. So that wraps up this audio commentary. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, good night, everybody.